Before we start with today's video, make sure to leave a like and comment and subscribe for a shout out in the next video. Story 1. Echoes of the Forgotten Ward. The musty scent of decay lingered in the air as I stepped cautiously through the dimly lit corridors of the abandoned hospital. My heart raced with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, fueled by the thrill of urban exploration and the eerie atmosphere that surrounded me. The building loomed like a silent sentinel, its windows boarded up and its walls adorned with graffiti, a testament to its long-forgotten past. I adjusted the straps of my backpack and glanced back at my companions, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of our flashlights. We were a small group of urban explorers, drawn together by our shared fascination with abandoned places and the mysteries they held. Tonight, our destination was the old hospital, rumored to be haunted by the spirits of the past. As we ventured deeper into the building, the air grew colder and the silence weighed heavy upon us like a shroud. I could feel the eyes of the past upon us, watching our every move with a silent intensity. The corridors stretched out before us like endless tunnels, each one leading deeper into the heart of the hospital. We passed by rows of empty rooms, their doors hanging open like gaping maws, inviting us to peer inside. Some still bore traces of their former occupants, a rusted bed frame here, a broken chair there, but most were barren, stripped of all signs of life. It was as if the building itself had swallowed the memories of those who had once walked its halls, leaving only echoes behind. Suddenly, a faint sound echoed through the darkness, a soft whisper that sent shivers down my spine. I froze in place, my heart pounding in my chest as I strained to catch the words, but they were gone as quickly as they had come, lost in the vast expanse of the abandoned hospital. I glanced at my companions, but they seemed unfazed by the mysterious whisper, their faces masked by the shadows cast by our flickering flashlights. With a shake of my head, I pushed aside my unease and pressed on, determined to uncover the secrets of the haunted ward. We continued our exploration in silence, our footsteps echoing off the walls like the beat of a funeral dirge. With each passing moment, the sense of unease grew stronger, like a weight pressing down upon my chest, making it difficult to breathe. Finally, we reached the end of the corridor and found ourselves standing before a set of double doors, their surface weathered and worn with age. Faint symbols were etched into the wood, their meaning lost to time, but their presence sent a chill down my spine. Without a word, I reached out and pushed open the doors, revealing a sight that made my blood run cold. Before us lay the abandoned ward, its empty beds lined up in neat rows, like silent sentinels standing guard over the forgotten souls who had once sought solace within its walls. But it was what lay beyond the beds that caught my attention. A figure standing in the darkness, its features obscured by the shadows. My breath caught in my throat as I stared at the mysterious figure, my mind racing with fear and uncertainty. With a trembling hand, I reached for my flashlight and flicked it on, bathing the room in a soft, golden glow. But when the light pierced the darkness, the figure was gone, leaving behind only the echo of its presence. I turned to my companions, but they too had seen nothing, their faces pale and drawn in the dim light. With a sense of growing dread, we made our way further into the ward, our footsteps echoing off the walls like the tolling of a funeral bell. As we explored the abandoned beds, we began to uncover clues to the ward's dark past, medical equipment left behind, patient records scattered across the floor, and faded photographs of smiling faces long since forgotten, but it was the sense of unease that lingered in the air, like a thick fog obscuring our vision, that sent chills down my spine. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the ward, causing us to jump in fright. We turned as one, our flashlights trained on the source of the sound, and gasped in horror at what we saw. A figure standing amidst the wreckage, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light. Without a word, we turned and fled, our footsteps echoing off the walls as we raced towards the exit. But no matter how fast we ran, the sense of unease followed us like a shadow, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked within the abandoned hospital. As we emerged into the cool night air, I glanced back at the building looming ominously in the darkness. Though we had escaped its haunted halls, I knew that the memories of our encounter would haunt us for years to come, a reminder of the unseen forces that lurked within the shadows. And as I looked up at the stars twinkling in the night sky, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden within the abandoned hospital, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to seek them out.
Story 2: Whispers of the Forgotten Mothers. The night air hung heavy with anticipation as I approached the imposing facade of Mercy General Hospital, its towering spires reaching towards the star-strewn sky like silent sentinels guarding the secrets within. As a newly minted nurse, I had eagerly accepted my assignment to the hospital's maternity ward, eager to witness the miracle of birth and the joy it brought to those in need. But as I crossed the threshold into the hallowed halls of the hospital, a sense of unease washed over me like a tide, the weight of the building's history pressing down upon my shoulders like a heavy burden. Mercy General had a reputation for being haunted, a fact whispered about in hushed tones by the hospital staff, but never openly acknowledged. My assignment for the night was to oversee the maternity ward, a place of hope and happiness for expectant mothers and their families. But as I made my way through the dimly lit corridors, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss, that the spirits of the past lingered in the shadows, watching our every move with a silent intensity. As I reached the entrance to the maternity ward, a chill ran down my spine, sending shivers cascading down my arms like a cold wind. The air seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, a palpable sense of anticipation that sent a shiver down my spine. With a steadying breath, I pushed open the door and stepped into the maternity ward, my senses on high alert as I took in the scene before me. Rows of empty beds lined the room, their pristine white sheets awaiting the arrival of their precious cargo. But it was the air of emptiness that hung heavy in the room, an absence of life that seemed to linger in the air like a lingering scent. I approached the nearest bed with cautious steps, my heart pounding in my chest as I studied the room before me. It was as if time itself had stood still, frozen in a moment of quiet contemplation, a stark contrast to the bustling activity that usually filled the maternity ward. Suddenly, a soft whisper echoed through the darkness, a voice so faint that it seemed to come from the very depths of my soul. I froze in place, my breath catching in my throat as I strained to catch the words. But they were gone as quickly as they had come, lost in the vast expanse of the empty room. I glanced around the maternity ward, but there was no one else in sight, only the empty beds and the soft glow of the moon filtering in through the windows. With a sense of growing unease, I turned to leave, eager to escape the oppressive atmosphere that surrounded me. But as I reached the door, a figure materialized before me, a woman dressed in a flowing white gown, her face obscured by the shadows. I gasped in shock, my heart pounding in my chest as I realized that she was not of this world, that she was one of the spirits that haunted the maternity ward. With trembling hands, I reached for my flashlight and shone it into the darkness, illuminating the room with its soft, golden glow. And there, standing before me, was the ghostly figure of a woman, a mother who had perished in childbirth, her spirit trapped within the walls of the hospital for all eternity. As she reached out to me with ghostly hands, a sense of sadness washed over me like a tidal wave, the weight of her unspoken sorrow pressing down upon my shoulders like a heavy burden. And as I stood there, face to face with the spirit of the forgotten mother, I knew that the memories of our encounter would haunt me for years to come, a constant reminder of the ghosts that lingered within the walls of Mercy General Hospital. Story 3: The Enigma of Room 237. The sterile scent of disinfectant greeted me as I stepped into the pristine halls of St. Jude's Hospital, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos of the city. As a newly hired nurse, I felt a sense of pride and excitement at the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of the patients who sought solace within its walls. But as I made my way through the bustling corridors, my excitement was tempered by a sense of unease, a feeling that lingered at the edges of my consciousness like a distant memory. I brushed it aside, attributing it to first-day jitters, and focused on the task at hand. My assignment for the day was to care for the patients on the hospital's neurology ward, a place of healing for those suffering from ailments of the mind and body. Among them was a patient in room 237, a comatose figure whose presence loomed large in the minds of the hospital staff. As I approached the door to room 237, I couldn't shake the feeling of trepidation that washed over me like a tidal wave. The air seemed to grow colder, and the sound of my footsteps echoed off the walls like a drumbeat, a constant reminder of the silence that awaited me on the other side. With a steadying breath, I pushed open the door and stepped into the room, my heart pounding in my chest. The scene before me was like something out of a nightmare, a figure lying motionless in the hospital bed, surrounded by the soft glow of monitors and medical equipment. I approached the bed with cautious steps, my senses on high alert as I studied the patient lying before me. His face was pale and drawn, his features twisted in a permanent expression of pain and suffering. Tubes and wires snaked across his body like vines, connecting him to the machines that kept him tethered to the realm of the living. As I checked his vital signs and adjusted his IV drip, a sense of unease washed over me like a tidal wave. It was as if the room itself was alive with a palpable energy, pulsing with an otherworldly force that I couldn't begin to comprehend. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the darkness, a soft whisper that sent shivers down my spine. I froze in place, my heart pounding in my chest as I strained to catch the words. But they were gone as quickly as they had come, leaving behind only the echo of their presence. I glanced at the patient lying before me, but he remained motionless, his eyes closed as if in a deep slumber. With a shake of my head, I pushed aside my unease and focused on the task at hand, determined to provide the best possible care for the mysterious figure in room 237. As the hours passed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong, that the patient in room 237 held a secret that defied explanation. I found myself drawn to him like a moth to a flame, unable to resist the pull of the unknown. And then, in the dead of night, it happened. A flicker of movement, a barely perceptible twitch of the patient's fingers. I gasped in shock, my heart racing with a mixture of fear and excitement as I realized that the patient was not as comatose as he seemed. With trembling hands, I reached for my flashlight and shone it into the darkness, illuminating the room with its soft golden glow. And there, standing before me, was the patient in room 237, his eyes burning with an otherworldly light as he reached out to me from the depths of his coma-induced slumber. I stumbled backwards in shock, my mind reeling with disbelief as I realized that the patient held the key to a mystery that defied explanation. But before I could react, he vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only the echo of his presence. As I stood alone in the empty room, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden within the walls of St. Jude's Hospital, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to seek them out. And as I left room 237 behind me, I knew that the memories of my encounter would haunt me for years to come, a constant reminder of the enigma that lay at the heart of the hospital's darkest secrets.